Hello, everyone. This is Coach Tim Campsall, and I'm excited to have a fellow business owner with us today. Something unique about my guest is that he did stand-up comedy in his younger days. So we'll have him tell us about that here in a minute. In his downtime, he likes to camp and travel with his wife. Also likes to play golf, and he's most proud of the fact that his wife and all of their kids own Beer Brewery, with their Noblesville location being their flagship restaurant. And we'll get him to tell us some more about that here in a little bit. It is my pleasure to welcome Jerry to the show today. Hi, Jerry.
Tim, how are you?
I am awesome. I appreciate you asking that. Let's start, Jerry, with having you introduce yourself. Tell us your full name and a little bit of your personal story, like where you were born, where you live, and about your family.
Just don't ask me about my work experience, okay? Because that's very, very long. No, it's Jerry Connor. I've been born and raised in the Indianapolis area. I had also lived in a couple other cities for a while, but yeah, graduated from IU. Got four kids. My wife and I have been married for uh, 49 plus 2 months so far.
Congratulations.
That's probably one of our biggest accomplishments, come to think about it.
Yeah, and what's your wife's name?
Carol,
Carol.
Carol.
Fantastic. And so tell me about your stand-up comedy background.
Oh boy. It I didn't I didn't start I started doing it when I was about 40 years old.
Okay.
I'd always been in theater and when I was in high school, a little bit of college, and then even after I graduated, I did a little theater and I did a lot of voiceover on cameras, and
Yeah.
I had a couple national TV commercials going at one time. So it was just always part of me. And so I didn't think some of the comedians were that funny. And probably a lot of people probably didn't think I was that funny either. But I just started doing it. Started at Crackers when they were at Keystone of the Crossings.
Mm.
And then in those early days, my real job, I traveled the state a little bit. And I know up in Fort Wayne, there was another comedy club that whenever I was in town, they said, come on back. And I emceed the session up
Oh,
there and just maybe did 4 or 5 minutes up there of
yeah.
comedy. Did
That's
that. And I also was involved in a little bit of, uh, there was a group out in LA when I was out there.
okay.
It's kind of improv. So, but anyway, that's just,
Yeah, very cool. Well, then this my next question is going to be interesting, given that you're already a funny person. So,
yeah,
is
right.
is there a funny story that your family likes to tell about you that you'd be willing to share?
Uh, well, kind of, probably can't say it on the air, but one of the funniest things is at my retirement party, it's either my retirement party or when I turned 70. I think it was, no, it was my retirement party that we made a list of all the jobs I've had. And I mean, all the way back to, college
Oh, wow.
when I was doing waiting tables and bartending and so forth. And also I was involved in actually right after college, I took groups of um, incentive groups all over the country and some Mexico, some
Uh-huh.
Europe, some Caribbean stuff. So,
Sure.
but anyway, so with that in mind, we made a list of all the jobs I've had, and she, there was two jobs that were not what I really did. And with everybody there, we
Oh,
had a
yeah.
little contest going. So, okay, which jobs that I wasn't involved in,
Uh-huh.
and one was a bus driver. I never was a bus driver, but I was involved in a lot of other things. One of the weird things or funny things that my kids didn't realize that when I was out in LA, this is back when I was oh boy, 20, 23 or 24.
Uh-huh.
A friend of the family's, uh, her boyfriend had a charter service for burial at sea,
Uh-huh.
and it was for burying ashes.
Yeah.
So I got dressed up like in a captain's outfit and pretended like I was part of the crew, and just for show for the guy, and that was kind of funny. It was a little strange, but it was funny also. But anyway, I can't think of the other job that I did not have, but we always kind of laugh about how many jobs I've had. So.
That's funny. Well, thank you for sharing. Hey, Jerry, tell us, how did the business come about, and at what point did you have the confidence that you could run a business?
Well, with all my background, the different industries and sales and management, marketing, and so forth. Um, I never had doubted my capabilities.
Yeah.
But the thing I had was I had some pretty smart kids.
Mm.
And my oldest son, when he was 18 down at IU, he didn't know whether to buy a beer kit or a fake ID. And he thought, well, if I buy a beer kit, I can make all the beer I want to. He bought the beer kit. Guy was just enamored by it, and he got a job at Bloomington Brewing Company down there in Bloomington and Lenny's, and he worked there for about 5 years as he went through school
Uh-huh.
on that 5 year program, right? And he just became passionate about it.
Mm.
So he then came up here and ran a home brew shop, and that is really where he learned the chemistry, the biology, and so forth about the brewing process.
Sure.
And I've always been kind of an entrepreneur where I love to get going in businesses or try to look at business. And I always told him, my wife and I always told him, I says, Darren, when you got the kahunas and you think you want to do something like that, let us know.
Uh-huh.
And one thing got to another, and finally says, yeah, let's do a little microbrewery. And between myself and him, we developed our business plan because I had some other business plans that I've done in my past that we use that as kind of a guideline.
Yeah.
And so he would do a section, I'd read it, go back at him, do a section, he would read it. So the give and take and so forth. And that's how we got started. And we started off as a nano brewery. A nano brewery means very small. And then from the
Okay.
nano into a craft. And now we're a fairly decent size system and so forth. So, and then my other kids got involved as well.
Yeah. Well, I know I shared with you offline that my wife's been to your Noblesville location a couple of times, and she talked about it. And then when you and I met, I went and visited it, and she's like, "Yeah, this is the place I've been telling you that we need to
Yeah,
go
yeah.
to."
Smart lady,
Yeah,
very smart
it's
lady.
beautiful, and not only the awesome beer, but the food is amazing. We had one of your pizzas, and wow, it's just
Yeah,
super.
we've been really fortunate enough from that standpoint because this was our real first venture into the food,
Mm,
and we were lucky enough to get a chef that had some pizza background and so forth.
yeah.
And then Darren, his background being at Lenny's, he kind of knew the nuts and bolts of it. And then one of my backgrounds, I was a food and beverage manager for a
Okay.
while when
Yeah.
I was in college at Holiday Inn down in Bloomington,
Yeah.
and involved in restaurants and so forth. So we had enough to be dangerous, but we needed a person that really was tuned into that specific area.
Sure.
And John is our chef, and he brought that, and we've been fortunate enough that one of the well, besides the good beer, the food has really held up to the standards as well.
So Jerry, tell us a little bit more about the company. Say the name again. What do you guys do? How do you help people?
Well, it's beer brewery, and beer it's the right way to spell beer. It's Bier. The
Uh-huh.
Beer is wrong. Okay, let everybody know that right now. It's Bier, the German spelling. So
Yeah.
beer brewery. And so, when we started we've been at it since 2010. So we're really in our 15th year. Um, and then from that, back in 2018, we added our second location in Carmel, where it's just a tap room.
Mm.
And we have food up there as well. We have a manager that manages that for us. And then a year and a half ago, we opened up Noblesville, which is a total different animal. I mean, it's a beast. And we had looked in the marketplace at least 4 or 5 years for property. In my last previous job, where I actually had an income, um, I traveled a lot. I mean, I traveled Midwest all the way up to the Northwest.
Uh-huh.
And every time I'd stay over, first thing I would do is go to the local breweries there.
Uh-huh.
So I got a lot of information and kind of gave us a good idea. Plus, my youngest son, who's very involved in the Noblesville property, has befriended some of the people in other locations of the country. He's got a mentor down in North Carolina and somebody up in Michigan that has a property very similar to ours.
Uh-huh.
We got up in Noblesville, we have 4 acres up there.
Yeah.
So, and it's a very large beer garden, and we're under about 77,000 square foot building as well. So that's what has taken us to here, to
Yeah.
this point.
Fantastic. So, Jerry, we know that successful businesses, get stuck at various stages of their growth journey. So tell us about one of your biggest challenges and someone who helped you get through that.
Well, I think just the challenges are some market barriers.
Mm,
Um, when we're looking at property, and we knew what this business could support.
yeah.
Um, and you got to look at the debt payment and so forth. And some of the property was just ridiculous.
Sure.
And half acre to an acre in Westfield and Carmel was going for $1 million. Well,
Mm,
this business, when we wanted 4 or 5 acres, this business with that type of debt payment, it would not, it
sure.
just would not support it.
Sure.
So we had a good broker that she went out. We got very fortunate. We found a piece of property in Noblesville that probably somebody, when you first looked at it, you probably thought we were out of our minds because it was a 4 acre property. It had an older block building on it that a mechanic was there working out of. And in the back, there was about 100 junk cars. And then where the tree line is, we had all this overgrowth. You couldn't even walk back through there.
Okay.
But my son and my wife and my kids, we could visualize what it would look like.
Right.
A lot of people aren't able to do that.
Yeah.
So uh, that's what got us going. But all my kids, my oldest, who is the brewmaster, he's a MacGyver of being able to fix and logically think through things. Um, my wife and daughter, my daughter runs the Carmel property, but the female aspect brings a lot of designing and the
Mm,
female touch to it. And
yeah.
then my youngest son, who's a graduate of IU as well, and Leah graduated from Ball State. But and Ryan, he's very I don't want to say OCD, but he's very proper in his
Uh-huh.
procedures. Okay,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
as my oldest is, because you got to be,
Yeah.
procedures got to be very important in the brewing process. But so I bring, I didn't bring them; they kind of came along, but they have some smarts, and
Yeah.
then I've been very very fortunate from that standpoint. And my fourth child, my second son, he lives in Nashville. He's also involved in this, but as a partner,
Uh-huh.
but not actually in the running stages of it.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
you asked me a question about some of the people, mentors that we have been involved in. And I do have to hand Clay Robinson from Sun King. When we first started, I know Clay and Dave and Darren knew each other because Darren was running this home brew shop,
Uh-huh.
and they would come in if they had issues or they'd be buying product or supplies and so forth.
Yeah.
So there's definitely a relationship. And when Clay found out that we were going to be opening a craft brewer, which was the one right after Sun King,
Yeah.
Clay sat down with us and we went over the steps on getting our federal license, which
Oh,
was
wow.
a lengthy process. And
Yeah.
he was more than willing to share his knowledge and
Oh,
really
that's
help us.
fantastic.
So
Yeah.
back in those days, Clay was a lifesaver for us. So he
I,
helped us jumpstart this.
yeah, I love that. So we call that co-opetition. right? Instead of,
Yeah,
right,
exactly.
where competitors are willing to help each other because they know that the greater good is going to be, is
Well,
good.
back and Tim, back in those days is, that back in 2010, you had Broad Ripple Brewing Company, and then Sun King, and there wasn't anybody, really anybody else.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
then we came in, and then after that, four or five other breweries came in. And right now, I think those three or four aren't in existence anymore.
Yeah. So Jerry,
Sun King is though. Sun King is.
yes, they certainly are. Yeah. So I'm gonna building on your clay story, I'm gonna put you on the spot a little bit here. I'm gonna ask you to pick three people in your business owner journey that you're most grateful for them being there to help with the business's growth. So who are those three people and how'd they help?
Well, I gotta say my oldest son to begin with.
Yeah.
I mean, it's without his knowledge and his dedication,
Yeah.
this would be a garage operation. We'd still be brewing our beer out of a garage or a basement. Um, oh boy, uh, there was another gentleman that was in the construction industry, and and I don't know if it's sometimes he was a people from Cathedral seem to help people from Cathedral,
Hmm.
and he was a Cathedral graduate, few years behind me, and then my two sons were also Cathedral graduates, my two oldest, and there was just a click between everybody, and Bob came in and helped us really put the program together on building this location in Noblesville,
Hmm.
and uh, to this very day, we still recognize Bob in our different
Yeah.
events that are going on.
Yeah.
And I know you want somebody else other than my wife, man. I don't know. I
That's
mean,
okay. Tell me.
there's so many.
Yeah, I know. That's why I said, I said I'm going to put you on the spot because it's hard, right? To only
Well,
pick three.
okay. The other person is he's not here, but he's with Regions Bank. He's out of Tennessee, just south of Nashville. And his co-partner, who was up here at the time as well, they believed in the project that we were doing. They believed in us and our capabilities,
Yeah.
and they went to bat with us when we put the program together and
Yeah.
with the SBA people and everything. So,
Yeah.
I mean, they were an intricate part of this whole operation,
Sure.
you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
So,
Because you certainly can't do something of that scale without having lender's support, right?
oh no, and we had this vision, and we had we had to describe it and translate this vision
Yeah.
to them to make sure they understood
Yeah.
what the potential was.
Yeah.
And they took us under their arms, and we're very, very fortunate from that
Awesome.
standpoint.
Yeah. Very cool. Hey, Jerry, the path to building a successful business has a lot to do with our mindset. So through that lens, what's been your biggest learning as a business owner?
Um, well, at my age, I think the biggest learning process has always been people,
Mm,
learning about people. I mentioned earlier in one of my previous jobs that I waited tables and I tended bar and so forth.
yeah.
Those two positions, those two jobs, in my opinion, are the best sales management training that anybody can have. Somebody comes to me and say, "Oh yeah, in school I tended bar, waited tables." They have had experience dealing with people, reading people, and knowing how far they can go with what they're doing.
Mm,
Excuse me. So that's always has been to me have been the biggest challenge is because uh, we're all so created differently,
right.
and
Yes.
we all have our own biases, and those biases can take us down the right road, and they
Mm,
can also take us down the wrong road.
yes. Yes, yes, yeah. I love that the way you just described that we're all created differently, right? We all experience the world differently. We all interpret the world differently, and so the thought of a one size fits all doesn't
Yeah,
isn't
and
right.
you and I, Tim, we could look at a situation. I would see it one way, and you would see it a totally different way.
Yes.
You know, or I would say something to you, and you'd take and say verbatim the same thing, and it could mean two different things. I
Yep.
mean, that's the English
Absolutely.
language is that's also very challenging too.
Yes. Yes. It's so, and so having, having people who are patient enough to navigate through and seek to understand as opposed to just reacting it in the service business is super, super important, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
oh yeah, it's you gotta you gotta know when to pull the trigger and when not to. You know.
What's one piece of advice, Jerry, or guidance that you would give a business owner who's either feeling stuck or discouraged about their business?
Well, we are not as smart as we think we are sometimes. Okay. And our male egos, especially male egos, can get in our way.
Yeah.
And sometimes we need to step back, be as objective as possible, look at the whole picture, peripheral, and admit that, say, this person, that woman might be a little more tuned into what we're doing or what we want to do.
Sure.
And and go down that road. I mean, without listening to my wife and my daughter, and now my son's wives and so forth,
Yeah.
we it's a hodgepodge of things that we do listen to. We do pull things out of that. So yeah, listening to other people is really important. Yes, your background, your education is important, but
Yeah.
there's always somebody out there
Yeah.
bigger, better, stronger, smarter,
Yeah.
and we just have to accept that.
Yeah. I love you mentioned ego. Sometimes too, we can just be too close to it, right?
Oh yeah,
Or
yeah.
the pressure is just too much in that moment. So yeah, having somebody else's perspective or lens on this scenario
Oh
can be
yeah.
very helpful.
My way or the highway, you know. And believe me, I've worked for people like that.
Uh-huh.
You know, yeah. That's oh my God, what's happening here? You know.
Jerry, as you think about the next year, where is an area that you're either currently stuck or you know that you need to sort out in order to achieve your long-term goals?
Well, in our business right now, and with the main tap room that we started 10, 15 years ago, we our procedures and so forth are pretty much in place.
Hmm.
That is being with Darren running it, and even though it's repetitive, it's very much the same thing, but in a sense, it's not because now with our two locations and with all the wholesale accounts that we are in, it's constantly changing
Yes.
from his perspective. Okay.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
that's one area, the main one. Then the other area that we're constantly challenged with is the Carmel and the Noblesville location, of being on top of what the customer wants, being on top of the quality,
Yeah.
of the fads that's happening in the marketplace and so forth. So we got to be active with that. And
Mm.
then Noblesville. I mean, Noblesville is a situation where it's constantly growing.
Mm.
We've had people come in there and said we just love coming in here because one, every time we come in here, we see that you guys have done one thing different. You've added one thing, whether it's a new plant or a
Uh-huh.
bush someplace,
Yeah.
it's something different. And it's a work in progress, and it's going to be that way because it's a we got a 2 acre beer garden in the back
Yeah.
that we got a good foundation, but we still have a, a vision of what that should or what we want it to look like
Uh-huh.
for everybody, and so we're constantly gravitating towards that.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, the never-ending constant change of
Yes.
running a business right? It's both exciting, but sometimes like, man,
Yeah.
why can't the old thing just keep working, right?
Well, and sometimes those changes come in herds instead of
Uh-huh.
just one or two things, you know.
Yeah. When
And
that's
you get run over by them sometimes.
the analogy or the saying of when it rains, it pours, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That too. Yeah.
Last question, Jerry. Jim Rohn, an amazing past business guru, he says that we become, or said that we become the average of the five people that we spend the most time with. So, as you think about that quote, what advice would you have for business owners who are feeling overwhelmed and or stressed or challenged with something in the business, but they're trying to figure it out on their own?
Well, in my age, one thing that I've noticed, and I think I've gradually become willing to admit, is that um, there are people out there that can do it just as good as you can,
Mhm.
and at times better than you can. And if with me specifically, if I've been able to now not only depend upon my kids, but also depend upon our partners that helped us get to where we're at.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like I need to do everything. I need to know everything. I mean, just like when we got started here, I told you technology on this is
Uh-huh.
not my, this is not me. Okay. You know, that's my kids and my 10-year-old grandkids, not me. So, and I've accepted that.
Yeah.
So we all have to accept our weaknesses somewhere along the line. But I hate to say weaknesses, um, accept our assets, our strengths.
Yeah.
And I hate to say weaknesses because it's really not necessarily a weakness. It's more of just a lower interest,
Yeah.
maybe,
Yes.
on our part that we have not spent enough time on making that an asset.
Yes.
So,
Yes. Yeah.
but anyway,
Yeah. We use the two different terminologies of and interest, right? So there's some things that we have high skill in and high interest, and that's
yeah.
our zone. And there's things that we have low skill in and low interest. And
Oh, yeah.
there's no point in focusing on that stuff because if we don't like it, we're never gonna learn it, right?
And Tim, I hate to say this, kids are the same way. They're in school,
Yeah.
and and I speak from experience with my oldest son. He's very very smart, but man, if there's something not only him but kids in general, if there's nothing that really makes them want to delve into, they're going to be average. But
Absolutely.
you take something, a course or a project that they have all this interest in,
Yep.
oh my God, they're going to excel.
Yep.
You know, and I get adults will do the same thing. You
Yep.
know,
Things we love, the amount of time
oh
that we spend figuring it out and learning more about it, and right, and fine tuning and tweaking.
yeah,
And you shared this earlier in this interview, but that's what your son did with beer, right?
oh
Right.
yeah,
He just had a
and
passion for it and he just kept figuring it out.
that's exactly right. Some people are so challenged, they love the challenge, and then that challenge becomes a journey. I mean that you start here and I'm going to go change my brakes in my car. Well, I got to figure out how do I pull the pads off the wheel, etc. Well, then all of a sudden you just took a vacation, putting the wheel back
Right?
on. Just
Yes.
look where I've been.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's exactly like that.
Jerry, it sounds like you've been blessed with some incredible people, and a lot of them family members, which is just an awesome part of your story. But folks who have helped you, along this business journey. If they were all here today on the show, what would you want to say to them?
Thank you, thank you for making us where we are today, what we are today, and so yeah, and I think they know that because of how we treat each other and how we communicate with each other.
I love it. Well, Jerry, it's been a pleasure speaking with you today and learning about your journey. Thanks for being on the show.
Tim, thanks for having me. I enjoyed it, and hopefully I had something to add, but yeah,
Absolutely. Yes, you did. I love your story. Thank you
yeah.
again.
If not, if I didn't, don't come looking for me, right?
All right, my friend. Take care.
Thank you. Take care.
Thanks for listening to the Self-Made is a Myth show. Please help spread this movement by liking and subscribing to our show and following us on Facebook and LinkedIn. To join our movement, go to bemadtogether.com. Okay, folks, that's a wrap. Please pay it forward and be sure to tune in next time to the Self-Made is a Myth podcast.